It was her singing voice that first made a legend of Julie Andrews. So, wouldn't it be lovely if her voice could introduce children to the joys of reading? The other day, Tracy Smith had a chat with Julie Andrews about that very topic via Zoom.
I hope that's about as good as it will get. If you knew what I had, Mickey Mouse lighting here.
Even on the computer at her Long Island home, Julie Andrews can still command a screen.
So how are you doing?
Well, just fine, thank you. Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Are you making the best of this odd time at home?
I am. Reminds me of the war days, this particular time. I don't know if it does for anybody else.
Yes, I was going to mention you were a little girl in London during World War II. I'm wondering, are there any lessons from that time that might apply to this time?
It's a recognition, actually. It is another kind of war. It's something that I've certainly never come across before in my life, and I don't think many of us have. It's like a very surreal science fiction movie in a way. It's hard to grasp that it's real, and yet you know that it is.
It's probably fair to say that Julie Andrews has had a lifetime of surreal moments. At 13, she sang in a command performance for King George VI.
All I want is a room somewhere.
At 20, she conquered Broadway as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
As I expected, Mary Poppins practically perfect in every way.
And this, you may recall, was her very first movie role.
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You may not know that the on-screen nanny had a real-life toddler at home, her daughter Emma, who joined us for our chat.
Let's start at the very beginning.
That's a very good place to start, Tracy.
I trained her well, as you can see, Tracy.
When Mary Poppins was released in the summer of '64, Emma was barely 2 and a true child of Hollywood.
I went shopping with my nanny at the time in the children's section of a department store, and there was a display set up of Mary Poppins, cardboard cutouts, life-size figures of Mary Poppins. And I remember stopping and looking and pointing and saying, "That's my mommy!" And then suddenly becoming aware that a couple of women behind me were saying, "Isn't that sweet? That little girl thinks her mother is Mary Poppins." And, and I was like, "No, but that really is my mommy."
And now, in a way, Emma Walton Hamilton has become her mother's co-star. Together, they've written more than 30 children's books. And this week, they'll debut a new podcast, Julie's Library, where listeners can hear stories read in a very familiar voice.
We're hoping that these stories will bring families together, will bring all of us together.
And encourage reading and literacy and, all those subliminal things that go along with enjoying a good book.
I have confidence in confidence alone.
It all sounds practically perfect.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
But Julie Andrews' transition from legendary songbird to children's author was, by her own admission, difficult.
Small and white.
In 1997, she lost her 4-octave soprano singing voice after vocal cord surgery.
When you lost your voice, did you see a blessing in that?
I didn't at first. I must be truthful. That was one of the hardest things to deal with. And I did think it was maybe one of the worst things that could possibly happen because I enjoyed and loved singing so much. I knew I was going to go crazy unless I did something that felt creative and that I enjoyed. And the timing of it was exactly right because Emma and I began to write together our children's books. And it became the thing that I embraced when my voice had gone. And Emma said to me one day, one of the loveliest things, which is, "Mum, you've just found a different way of using your voice." And I think, for me, it's a great, great joy.
Hello.
And as if writing a whole library of children's books wasn't enough, Dame Julie has also written a couple of best-selling memoirs.
You've worked your whole life since you were a young girl. Do you find comfort in that, in working? Because you're keeping busy now working on several things.
Yes, I have worked all my life. I don't think I know to do anything. I mean, I love kicking back. Believe me, I'm quite a lazy girl a lot of the time, but it's having something to do that I love is very necessary, and I am used to being busy. I don't think I would be very happy if I weren't.
Well, now, when anything bothers me and I'm feeling unhappy, I just try and think of nice things.
It almost seems as if Julie Andrews has become a little like Maria,
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens.
the perpetually positive governess in The Sound of Music.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
She's the character who showed her family and the world how to deal with adversity. And in a way, she still is, especially now.
Simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
I think so many of us have learned lessons from your mom's characters in the movies. I mean, I think about in this time, focusing on my favorite things. And I'm wondering, to you personally, are there lessons that you've learned from your mom that maybe apply now?
Absolutely. Well, I share my mom with a lot of other people who who wish that she was their mom, and I totally get it, because she's a fabulous mom. The lessons that jump out at me the most, perhaps one is, when in doubt, stand still.
I was just going to say that, sweetheart. We finish each other's sentences. And right now, that's so applicable.
And it is very applicable right now. When in doubt, just stand still and wait until the way forward is clear.
There was another one that my mother used to say, actually my mother and my aunt, they used to say, this will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so just wait it through.